Shot. He scores! And the Ballers win! Helena is no longer undefeated!
I'm not superstitious, but I am a little stitious.
Barons win! Barons win!
Cody Jansen stopped 92 out of 95 shots, including a penalty shot in overtime. Somehow he still only wound up the third star of the game.
You like that?
Jansen has a heart.
You're smoking crack!
Fire it up, you know it's game day. And we are ready to rock. Cody Jansen with your World Hockey Report, presented by Lordco Auto Parts, the official auto parts retailer of Hockey Canada and Team Canada. If you're heading to the rink, Lordco is going to ensure you got everything you need for a smooth ride. From bright white headlight replacement bulbs for increased visibility during early morning or late night commutes to battery maintainers, they'll ensure your vehicle starts when the temperature drops. Visit Lordco Auto Parts location today for knowledgeable service, quality parts, and accessories. Visit lordco.com to find a store near you. So much to get to. The Edmonton Oilers, they start their season today. Stanley Cup hunt begins at home. They'll welcome Vancouver to Rogers Place, 8 o'clock puck drop. And here's the lines quickly for you. They're going to start stacked up front. We got quotes from Draisaitl. We got clips. Colton Sevier gets a deal. $750. Looks like that's what it's going to be. They got McDavid, Draisaitl, Puljujarvi on that top line. Hyman, RNH, and Yamamoto on the second. Smith expected to start between the pipes. No Cassian, no Shore. We'll break all of that down later with play-by-play voice on 6:30. Ched Cam Moon. He'll join us in about 40 minutes time. Annie O'Donnell's going to come on in about 15 minutes. We'll break down the California teams. Maybe ask her about those Dodgers who are going to get eliminated in Game 5. You didn't hear that from me, though. Alrighty, let's snap it over, though. Our Grey Cup champion, Philadelphia Flyers insider, whatever you want to call him. Zack, buddy, did you watch hockey last night? If so, give me your thoughts on the games, maybe the ESPN broadcast, and was that goal by Vegas kicked in?
I did. You know what? Great night for hockey. First game, honestly, I didn't expect that result. I don't think anyone did. Especially it doesn't help the Flyers out either. But overall, though, it was a great night of hockey, and that goal was definitely kicked in. You know, my friend Brandon, anyway, he's been on our show in the past, and he doesn't think it was, and I don't get it. You know, even when people argue that it's a little bit of a kicking motion, it's still a kicking motion. I mean, if your blade leaves the ice, or you have to shift it forward to redirect it into the net, that's a kicking motion. So I don't care what anyone says. That's my opinion. Kicking motion should have been no goal, but hey, what can you do? Overall, great night of hockey.
Pittsburgh wins 6-2 over Tampa Bay. My parlay got ruined with that one. Vegas sneaks past Seattle 4-3. That was way closer than it should have been. I mean, Vegas, they blew a 3-0 lead, and Tampa Bay, they just looked hungover. So we'll move along past that. Also on that goal, I disagree. I think you're allowed to move your foot for a deflection. I don't think that's a blatant kick like everyone's making it out to be. That's a skilled play. I don't see why you shouldn't be able to kick the puck in if you're far enough away. I don't know. I don't see. There's no harm. No one's at risk of getting injured.
Don't have that rule. Don't have that rule then.
Well, I can't change the rules, Zach. I'm just saying he moved his foot to make the deflection. He didn't move his foot to punt the puck into the net. It wasn't like a
His
drastic.
blade left the ice.
Barely. There was still snow touching.
Still off the ice.
That's
no goal.
That's a questionable one, but alrighty, we'll move along. We're not going to sit here and argue about that for 5 minutes. Zack Medeiros on World Hockey Report. It's Cody Jansen with you. Follow us on social media at World Hockey RPT. Connect with us on 12 Ounce Sports, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Join the conversation right now. Beck says ESPN's got to learn team abbreviations. Did you see that, Zach? They had VGS instead of VGK. I thought that was funny.
Yeah, they do have to learn. I thought over the past they normally have VJK, don't they? I don't know if that's
100%. They just flopped on that one.
Jeez, yeah, that's a tough one to take in there. Was that NHL TNT last night?
No, ESPN.
Oh, was it ESPN? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, they had both of them. TNT's tonight, though. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, you get like Gretz, you get Tocchet, you got Biz. Like, those are guys I want to hear from. No offense to some of the others. There's great media personalities, but come on, man. We get to hear from some of the best now. I'm happy the Americans are stepping up their broadcast game. Oh, we might have lost Zach there. We'll have to get him back on the line, Zack Medeiros. Obviously, he's got bad service. Calling from Ontario. Oh, looks like we got him back on the line now. Hey, thanks for hanging up on us. But
there, eh?
yeah, you're in the boonies in Ontario.
Right now,
just the boonies of Ontario. Hey, I mean, now we obviously get to watch Sportsnet broadcasts in Canada, but are you going to try to tune in a little bit to ESPN and TNT because they've got those big names?
Absolutely. And you know what? I think it just, you can watch the NBA and all the personalities that they have during the halftime or by the courtside. And I love that. I'm not the big NBA fan, but when the odd time I actually do catch a basketball game, I pay attention to that because it kind of draws me in. And the thing I'm going to pay attention to is I think Biz is going to bring Wayne to a whole nother level. Like those two personalities, like obviously off the ice, they didn't really know each other. They wouldn't be the best of friends, but now that they're kind of, they kind of have to coexist with one another throughout the season, I think it's going to be a really cool, dynamic throughout the year.
I agree. And I think that there's a lot of personality in Wayne that doesn't come out. I mean, anyone you talk to, or if you've heard him on Cam and Strick talk about how they are at Gaza Ranch and stuff like that, he's just willing to let it fly, but under the right circumstances. So I think if you do put them around the right people, it'll be interesting. Of course, let us know your thoughts at 12 Ounce Sports. Join the conversation anytime. It'll pop up on screen, and we want to hear from you. So on this kicking motion, it kind of lit up on Twitter here a little bit. Ryan Love says, it's a kick, but not by rulebook definition. Interesting loophole. I don't know what the real rulebook definition
what's
is.
The rule? Anyway, I don't want to get tied into that.
T. Johnson says, oh yeah. Surveyor Brett says no. John Fiorini says Fiorino? Holy. For sure a kick. Refs in midseason form already. Ryan McKinney says kick. Yeah, everyone's saying kick for the most part. I can't go through. We got too many comments coming in hot and heavy. But moving along, Oilers Canucks tonight, the teams that everyone obviously cares about. They're going head to head. What's your thoughts going into this game? Like, obviously, you don't want to overreact into night one, but with this Oilers lineup, this should be an easy win at home, right?
I mean, yeah, it should be. I'm actually looking at their lineup right now, and their top six looks clean. I'm not really a huge fan of Yamamoto. I mean, you might say otherwise. I think he's kind of the odd end. And Puljujarvi, I mean, he's okay in my opinion too. But overall, as a team, I think right now as a team, they have a better team on paper than the Canucks do. Regardless of who the Canucks got during the offseason, I know they got Garland. I know that they got Ekman Larson, which is going to help them out, a bit. Patterson's back healthy now. I think overall, honestly, it should be a pretty good bout. I just think, again, we have two of arguably the best players in the world with McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. They're going to be on that top unit power play. They're probably going to be on the same line for the most part. Now they got Zach Hyman and sneaky pickup too with Warren Fogle on that wing at that third line spot. Yeah, I like the Oilers all day tonight.
Do you like them putting McDavid and Draisaitl together? And it's one of the things we're going to dive into with play-by-play man Cam Moon a little bit later on. But I want to know your thoughts on when they stack up a line. Because
absolutely,
you like that, eh? Yeah. You would rather see
absolutely.
One heavy-duty line versus two very good lines?
Listen, fans are back. Give them a show. Are you kidding me? Put these guys together as much as you can. This is like the Yager Lemieux. Listen, I'm a Flyers fan, and even though it was the Legion of Doom, the Lindros, Leclerc, Renberg matchup, that was so enjoyable to watch. Even, I don't care if I was 7, 8 years old, right? But what I remember from that, I was so excited whenever I was able to watch that. I love it. And listen, I'm not an Oilers fan by any means, you know that. But whenever there's a chance when David and Draisaitl are going to be on the same line, I always tune into that because that's just electric. There's no one better chemistry in the league than those two players. No one.
Goongear talking about the pre-game presser here. Connor McDavid fluffs in a one-timer. That's what Draisaitl was chirping him for. I was going to load it up as a clip today, but I did kind of like Draisaitl's quote on depth a little bit better. We will get to the audio vault here eventually, but shout out to Goongear for bringing that one up. Funny. You got a prediction for tonight for the Oilers Canucks? I will say 4-2 Oilers.
I was literally just thinking that, but since you said that, I'll go 5-3 Oilers.
They're going to allow 3? I don't know. I mean, they played them twice in preseason, and Vancouver did have a pretty loaded lineup. They lost 3-2. So I would say I don't mind 5-3, I guess. Maybe they get a lucky one late or something. The other Canadian game today, it's the Habs and the Leafs all Canadian matchup there. Mitch Marner, I think he's questionable. Obviously, no Carey Price for Montreal. Is this going to be a walkover for the Leafs? Are the Habs going to bring a little bit of piss and vinegar? Did you like the Suzuki extension? What's your thoughts going into this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, you know what? You had to extend somebody. I think obviously you lose Weber, you lose Carey Price for the unforeseeable future right now. So the team kind of needs a leader. They need a identity really too, right? And I mean, this is their guy that they're going to build around for years, right? Like he's their best player in my opinion. Cole Caulfield might reach that level one day. I don't mind their team overall. I still believe the Leafs will win this game tonight, even though they have their own weaknesses. I mean, if you look down that left wing from lines 1 to 3, ooh, it looks ugly, man. You got Richie up there. You got Wayne Simmons. You have this guy named Michael Bunting, whoever the hell that is. I have no clue. But I think overall, the Leafs just have enough talent on their roster to get past the Canadiens tonight.
They should. Also, Michael Bunting's sick. We do not accept his slander in this one. Join the conversation to let us know predictions for the Oilers, Canucks, predictions for the Leafs, Habs. Would love to know your thoughts anytime at World Hockey RPT. I'm on Twitter at Janner31_. Hey, we also got another big one that even Gary Bettman wanted to attend. It's Tom Wilson versus the New York Rangers. And yes, I say it like that because the Caps are kind of hopeless without him. Are we going to see as much fireworks as they're making this up to be? I mean, they've got Tenorti, Hunt, Reeves in the lineup. They've got Gaudreau. Like, is this going to be an absolute gong show, or is the media blowing this out of perspective here?
Sorry, so is Tom Wilson playing tonight or not?
Yeah, Wilson's playing. Yeah,
he's playing. Okay, just making sure.
Yeah,
okay.
Reeves is as well. So
Reeves
after that dirty slew foot by PK Subban.
You know what? Obviously it won't be as bad as the last match, but yeah, it's going to get a bit chippy for sure. I think that, Wilson's not going to be running around, and listen, we've had our own conversation about this. Reeves is still the undisputed heavyweight in this league. I don't care. Tom Wilson's tough.
Darnell
not
Nurse.
Ryan Reeves. Relax, Jesus Christ. But no, I think Ryan Reeves is still the guy that anyone wants to, if they're going to mix it up. If anyone fears anyone, it's Ryan Reeves. Tom Wilson's there too. He's nipping at his heels, but he's still a distant second. I think it will get chippy. I think that Tom Wilson won't, be his normal self like he would be on any other night if he's going against the Sabres or, any other team that doesn't have a good amount of sandpaper on their roster, just because, he's looking over at the other bench and he sees, oh, Gaudreau's there. They have Reeves now. I have to kind of tame it a little bit. But yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if he decides to mix it up. If he mixed it up with Reeves, that'd be great. I'm kind of hoping for that, actually.
Who is your favorite heavyweight growing up? I know you like the rough stuff. We're old school hockey guys. Who is your favorite heavyweight?
My favorite heavyweight? I mean, I'm going to be a homer here. You know that. And you're probably going to laugh at me for this, but I love Chris Therien. I mean, I wouldn't say he was really like a heavyweight, but like this is in terms of just like grit and clearing the net. He was one of my favorites. And I don't even want to say this, but Brashear, my guy, Donald Brashear, loved him.
That's a great answer. That was definitely going to be. I know that there's the incidents and everything, and he got involved in some stuff, but man, he was something else. And again, I mean, you're a Flyers scumbag fan anyways. You got to like those guys that bring a little bit of the madness to the game. Chicago, Colorado tonight. You got a prediction? Obviously, no McKinnon. He's got COVID, but I think the Blackhawks, they're going to surprise teams. I think we've talked about this before, but you think they got a chance to win against Colorado tonight?
I agree with that. Yeah. I actually like the roster. I like what they did in the offseason too. Obviously, again, being a homer, I bring the Flyers all the time. I get it. I don't care, audience, but Seth Jones was going to be a huge part of the Flyers fans.
Stud.
Obviously, that didn't pan out. We got a better D-man in the future Norris winner, Ryan Ellis, so I don't care. But that being said, Seth Jones, still a stud. He's on that roster now. And Vegas gave up Marc-Andre Fleury for essentially nothing after winning the Vezina, which makes no sense. So they have him now. And people don't really talk about this, but Jonathan Toews back in the lineup, like that leadership that they missed for a year, their captain, they have him back now. So I really like this Blackhawks team, and I agree with you. I think they're going to turn, a lot of heads around this season.
I think that Fleury trade could go down as the worst trade in the history of sports if Chicago goes on a run. And I'm not talking about they got to win the cup here, but win a round or two with Fleury, that could go down as one of the worst trades ever. Just an Asinine move forever. Okay, I know you're a football guy. You might have won a trophy or two in the Canadian League. But, okay, what's this Najee Harris tweet? People are saying his name wrong? How's it actually pronounced then?
Isn't it Najee?
Najee?
I think it's Najee.
You should know
I heard
this.
Rob Rossberger in a media interview the other day, and he said Naj, so he didn't really say his full name. So I'm going to assume it's Najee.
Okay. Well, how about the Bears? Are they the best 3-2 team of all time?
Okay, let's calm down. All right, listen, I knew this was going to come up. The Bears are the Bears, man. Listen, when have the Bears ever been relevant? They had that Super Bowl winning team. I couldn't even tell you who that quarterback was because the Bears have never had a quarterback. The only Super Bowl quarterback that I remember, and it's an embarrassment to even say his name, is Rex Grossman. Remember that name? Not too many people do, but that was their QB back in 2007 when they got absolutely stunned by the Saints in the Super Bowl. I want to say, I think that's who it was. They're gross, but I mean, I did love Hester back in the day. He's one of my favorite players.
Justin Fields is an absolute stud. And I think that people are going to figure this out by the end of the year. Man, the Raiders, after like week 2, everyone was calling them the best team in football. I get it. They're an absolute disgrace now. But, like, come on. The Bears go there and dominate them. Dominate.
They do this every year, though. It's the same story with the Raiders for the past 4 or 5 years. They get off to a very hot start, and then the rails just completely come off. The wheels come off. I don't know. At this point, is Derek Carr, is he a bit of a phony? I don't know, man. I don't know. Something's going on there internally. Obviously, we don't have to get into the whole Gruden thing. That's a whole separate issue, obviously. But I think right now with the Raiders, man, it's the same stuff every year. And the Bears, you know what? Yeah, I actually do like Fields. I think he will probably be – yeah, I think you guys have something there with that QB. I mean, because, again, Bears haven't had a QB in forever, but hopefully Fields is the first one to pan out for them.
Okay, you got 30 seconds. What the hell's wrong with the Steelers? They only beat the Denver Broncos by 7 or 8.
Stop.
Talk to me. Is Ben done?
3-1 team. Denver has a great team. You know what? Listen, the NFL, man, everyone says it. It's a hard league to win in. Okay, they're up by 2 scores. At the end of the day, yes, did Denver string together a little bit of a comeback towards the end? Yeah, they almost did. They got down to Steelers 5. And what happened? They got picked off at the end of the game. We shut the door on them. Best 2-3 team in the league.
Shut the door on the Denver Broncos. That's an accomplishment. You know I'm right, and the Bears are better. We'll discuss this again next week after the Bears move to 4-2, if they play. I don't actually know. Alrighty, that's Zack Medeiros, Grey Cup champion, joining us on World Hockey Report after the break here. We got Annie O'Donnell coming on, California sports radio host. Maybe we'll talk Ducks and Jets tonight. NHL, it's happening. Edmonton, 8 o'clock. Oilers, Canucks, still to come. Cam Moon. It's World Hockey Report, presented by Lord Co Auto Parts.
What we do here is go back.
It's World Hockey Report presented by Lordco Auto Parts. Visit Lordco's in-store truck centers at select locations. Cody Jansen with you. Follow us on social media. I'm there at Janner31_. The show's at World Hockey RPT, and we're coming to you live on 12-Ounce Sports, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, Zingo TV, channel 761, wherever you're watching from. Join the conversation anytime. You got any questions for our next guest, let's get them going now. It's Annie O'Donnell, sports radio host from California, joining us on the show. Annie, what's happening? How's it going in California today?
It's a beautiful day in Southern California in October, and Ducks open tonight, Kings open tomorrow, so a lot to be happy for California hockey fans right now.
And no baseball to distract you. I won't get you to give me a Game 5 prediction yet, but maybe later on. The Dodgers going to Game 5 of San Francisco, MLB. We'll get to that talk later, but let's talk NHL. And I want to start with some of the teams that I think are going to obviously struggle this season. And first off, it's San Jose. I mean, they don't really have that depth up front. Their goaltending's got question marks. Is there any expectation for San Jose? I mean, you're down in the markets there and stuff. You probably hear from the fans and such a little bit more than us. But what's the vibe around the Sharks right now?
I think the vibe around every California team right now is just low expectations and get excited about the new young talent, because all three teams have really exciting talent. And I think one of the shiny new toys out in San Jose is going to be their draft pick from this year, William Eklund. I wish the Ducks had picked him up with that 3rd overall pick. That's what I was banking on. But I think he is going to be an absolute steal from this year's draft. And yes, goaltending does have some question marks. I do think they upgraded. I'm not a big Martin Jones fan. I don't think San Jose Sharks fans are either. So obviously buying him out was a step towards rebuilding in goal. Aiden Hill, a lot of upside, hasn't played a full 82-game season. So with him, assuming he's going to get the starting job with James Reimer right behind him, we'll see how that goes. And obviously they want to get past this whole Evander Kane drama. I know that's not fun, probably in the locker room and in the fan base. Hopefully that gets resolved there. But they've got about $8 million in cap room here. I think for San Jose fans, the worst place you want to finish is like in between, not bad enough to get a high draft pick, but not good enough to either make the playoffs or be close enough to it. So it's what's the word? Purgatory, basically, where you get no benefits there. And unfortunately, that's where I see the San Jose Sharks finishing this year.
Well, and a team I feel that they're honestly going to be competing with is the LA Kings for some of those bottom end spots. And mostly, I'm not high on the Kings, but also I feel that Cal Peterson deal is wild for an unproven guy to be giving him $5 million a year. I'm not sure if that's the starting goaltender of the future, especially when you got guys like Drew Doughty saying, hey, it's time to get serious. But speaking of the Kings, do you think they're fully out on Jack Eichel now? Do you think there's any chance that smoke turns into fire?
I don't think so. Honestly, I do think they're out at this point in time. I mean, they went out and got Philip Deneau in the offseason, and an Anze Kopitar Deneau 1-2 center punch. That's not a bad lineup you got there. So you got to think, what are you going to give up for Jack Eichel at this point? One thing the Kings have been really good at since they were swept by the Vegas Golden Knights in 2018 and haven't made the playoffs since, I like to rub that in for the Kings fans, is not that the Ducks have been much better since, but anyway. But one thing they've been so good at is just fully committing to their rebuild, really going out there, making trades for prospects, and that's why they have one of the best prospect pools in the NHL. I mean, just think about all the young guys they've got to watch. I mean, obviously Quentin Byfield, who unfortunately is injured and we won't be seeing him for a bit, but Akil Thomas, Alex Turcotte, Arthur Kaliev, Tobias Bjornfot, like the names just stack up there, and they'll be competitive. Again, I think anybody that has the best shot of the California teams to squeeze in for that 3rd spot in the Pacific or a wild card spot would be the LA Kings there. But a lot to look forward to. Maybe not a playoff team this year, depending on how Calgary and Vancouver do, but got to be exciting to watch these young guys really flourish. And hey, but if Kings fans are lucky, maybe you get that perfect time in the rebuild where they make another cup run near the end of Kopitar and Doughty's time there. We'll see.
It's an interesting point, and I do think that goaltending has to be shored up because when you look at the California teams, and as you mentioned, you think that they are closest to the playoffs. But again, if John Gibson gets hot, I think the Ducks are still a lot closer. It's the NHL. It's a goaltending league. That's what really makes the difference. Now, I want to ask, the NHL season kicked off last night. Obviously, Pittsburgh beats Tampa 6-2. Wasn't that exciting, kind of shocking, but Tampa looked hungover. And then you get Vegas and Seattle. You get two of the most recent teams added into the NHL. You get the ESPN broadcast. You get a little bit of a kicking motion, a controversial goal to start. Give me your thoughts on that. Well, one, was it a kick in your mind? And two, what's your thoughts on the new TV deals in the States?
Me personally, I thought it was a distinct kicking motion and should not have been a goal. But I'm not the refs. I'm not in Toronto making those calls, but I thought it was clearly a distinct kicking motion. But what a way to welcome the Kraken into the league, huh? Getting screwed over by the league. We're screwed over by the refs. That's the perfect initiation into the league. But it was really exciting. Those uniforms, those away uniforms look beautiful on the ice. And you got, as a hockey fan, I appreciate the energy and excitement, enthusiasm in the T-Mobile Arena in Vegas, and it was nice to see. I mean, anytime hockey restarts again, that crowd is just so energetic. And there's, even though they're a newer team, you could definitely feel that excitement there around that franchise. But the new TV deals, I'm really impressed so far as somebody that grew up, in the 90s with that ESPN theme song that lives rent free in my head. Hearing that song again just gave me chills. And that hype video they posted with Justin Bieber doing the narration was just, made me want to run through a wall. But I love the personalities they have. I thought John Buccigross did a great job on the ESPN broadcast, and I love the TNT panel they have. I'm so excited to see more of the likes of Wayne Gretzky and Paul Bissonnette going head to head and debating some of the hottest topics in the league.
And Rick Tocchet. I think that's a guy, too, that people don't know his personality because when they're in the league, they really have to be muzzled. So I think it'll be an interesting dynamic. I'm excited to see it, of course. Annie O'Donnell, my guest sports radio host down in California. It's World Hockey Report, presented by Lordco Auto Parts. Now, we kind of talked about the new TV deals and all that recent stuff, but realistically, come on, you're a Ducks fan. You enjoy the Anaheim Ducks, and they get to play Winnipeg. Now, first off, I'll say it from my perspective, it's a terrible season opener. I mean, whoever scheduled this doesn't understand geography or anything. If you want to sell tickets, if you want to get Winnipeg fans engaged, and if you want to get Anaheim fans engaged, this just makes no sense. But from a hockey perspective, I think it's going to be a pretty darn good game. Winnipeg does have a solid roster in that Central Division, and for Anaheim, I'm excited to see some of their young guns. You still got Gibson and net. I'm pumped to watch Zegras this season. You got Drysdale. There's so many things that you can keep an eye on in this game that, although it's a weird matchup, I'm going to be tuned in.
Oh, absolutely. I think Ducks fans are going into this season with low expectations, like I said, but a lot of excitement building around what everyone's expecting to be a Calder season for Trevor Zegras. Obviously, the future is bright, and I think it was a huge step this offseason for management to fully come out and buy in and admit that we're rebuilding, that this isn't a retool, that, this team, when at potential, can make the playoffs. When Bob Murray, general manager, has been feeding that narrative to Ducks fans for the last 3 years, that hey, when at potential, these guys, this is a playoff team. This team can compete in the Western Conference. When, you keep saying that every year, but it's not happening. At which point in time, you got to say, okay, something's not working. We got to go out. We got to fix it. Whether it's blow it all up, whether it's trade key pieces. I wasn't impressed with his the offseason for the Ducks, besides re-signing Ryan Getzlaf. That was huge. But, not a lot of movement, not a lot of improvement from a team that was the worst offensively last year. So hoping that a full 82-game season will bring some improvement there. But I'm fully expecting some trades to happen this year. Ricard Raquel is a free agent come next year, as well as Josh Manson. He's been trying to offload that Adam Henrique deal for quite some time. So I would expect either some trade deadline deals or a lot of stuff happening early on in the season. But this matchup is going to be really exciting. I'm actually headed up to Anaheim tonight for it. We're getting presumably the two goalies for Team USA as well, and Connor Hellebuck and John Gibson. And I'm a big John Gibson believer. I think he's one of the best goaltenders in the league and gets vastly overlooked simply because of the team he's on and that he's on the West Coast and not everybody stays up late to watch those California games, which I completely understand. But
do you think John Gibson finishes finishes the season in Anaheim, or do you think he gets traded?
He finishes the season, I think. I don't see a scenario where he gets traded unless he flat out asks for one. Bob Murray really committed to building this team around John Gibson. He wouldn't have signed him to that contract through, I want to say 2026, 2027, I believe, if he wasn't fully committed. So I don't see a situation in which he leaves now. But hey, I've been wrong before, but I don't see it.
You also mentioned Getzlaf, and I think that's an interesting one because over summer there was a lot of rumors that Edmonton might have had interest in him. Do you think that, or were you shocked to see him re-sign after, you take a look from Getzlaf's perspective, you see all the success that Corey Perry's had. Do you think there was a little bit of jealousy being like, holy shit, maybe I should get out of here and go try win a Stanley Cup or go deep in a playoff run? Because it's got to be frustrating as an older player knowing that you have no hope at probably winning a playoff series.
Oh, I totally agree. And that was a situation where if he had left, I wouldn't have blamed him whatsoever. I mean, this is a guy that the last time he was in the Stanley Cup final was when he won it when he was 22 years old. So much has happened since then. He was a finalist for, the Hart Trophy, made the Western Conference final twice. He's married, has had kids. Like, he's a different person. He's a different player now. I would not have blamed him in the slightest if he was going to go chase a cup, because he would be a great bottom six forward on a lot of competitive cup teams. And that's why, at the trade deadline, it came out that they were trying to get a deal done with Vegas. And Ryan said, don't trade me unless it's of full benefit to the Ducks. And that just kind of shows the kind of guy that Ryan Getzlaf is. Now, I personally was not shocked that he re-signed in Anaheim. His wife is from Orange County. He's got 4 kids here. He's very much rooted. He's got a foundation out here that he's very involved in. They're very much a part of the Orange County community. So I wasn't at all shocked to see him re-sign here. But the 1 year, I think it's maybe a good foundation to get started. If he sees some movement towards, say maybe this team surprises some people. I don't think it'll surprise that much, but if he sees some progress forward, maybe he says, okay, that so far so good, maybe I'll stay. But if nothing's going anywhere, I wouldn't be shocked to see him go elsewhere next year. It'll break my heart, but it wouldn't shock me.
So I wouldn't even say next year. I would say at the deadline this year. I still think there's a chance where, as you said, his family's rooted in Orange County, but if that means that he's got to be away with them for 2-3 months, he's got to be away from his family to go on a playoff run. Again, his agent's up here in Edmonton. Edmonton could use a nice depth there, especially a veteran piece who has won, who knows what it takes to win, and he's got that grit. I think there's potential. Annie, I got one last one for you, and it's Trevor Zegras. Do you think he wins the Calder this year?
Yes.
Really?
100%. Yes.
Over Spencer Knight, over Cole Caulfield, there's hundreds. I think Sorokin's even still eligible. What do you think puts Zegras in that category?
He is, Sorokin definitely is still eligible, and that's a guy that I'm very much bought into as well. Islanders fans have been hyping him up to me for years, and from what I've seen, he very much lives up to the hype, especially with that performance in Pittsburgh. But just from what I've seen out of Zegras, not only in the World Juniors, but even with it in his few games last year with the Ducks and some of his preseason games, we haven't had a talent like this in so long. And the fact that he's able to be this good and this productive with the team that surrounds him is absolutely incredible. I think Cole Caulfield will definitely be up there. And with Spencer Knight, it definitely depends on how many games he gets splitting with Sergei Bobrovsky. I think he'll get enough to qualify him, and that's a guy that I think will absolutely be up there in Calder voting. But I got to go with my boy Zegras. The Ducks have yet to have a Calder winner. We're due. It's time.
That's fair. That's a bold take. Addie O'Donnell, sports radio host in California. Hey, what do you got going on? How can people connect with you? I know you host multiple shows, podcasts. You're the Swiss Army knife of sports media. So how can people connect with you?
Yeah, so I host a podcast, OD on Sports. It's available on all streaming platforms. I'm also a co-host locally in Orange County, Sports Sunday on KOCI 101.5 FM on Sundays. And I'm on all social media on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram at Sweet Annie OD. It's 99% sports content. TikTok's definitely sports content, but everything else, 99% sports. Love talking sports, love connecting with other fans. I'm shooting the breeze here and there. So give me a follow, and I would love to connect.
Give us a Game 5 prediction, San Fran, LA. I know you're a Dodgers fan, but, unbiased hat on.
Unbiased hat on. I actually knew it was my early prediction was Dodgers in 5. So I was stuck on it being 5, and I'm sticking with it. I think it's going to be a pitching duel. I'm going 3-2 Dodgers.
Wow, that's bold. I don't know if they can do it. They're underdogs. Annie, thank you so much for hopping on the show, though. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Cody. Appreciate it.
Annie O'Donnell right there, sports radio host down in California, joining me on World Hockey Report to talk some NHL. And yeah, we got a baseball prediction in there. Game 5, it's going to be a good one. Dodgers, Giants tomorrow night, but we got NHL. Oilers, Canucks, that's going on tonight. And we had some interesting quotes here, and I want to play this one from you. It's on Leon Draisaitl, and, kind of talking about, are you affected if you have to play on that top line with McDavid and Puljujarvi versus on the second line with Nugent Hopkins, Yamamoto, and stuff like that. And he had some interesting comments on depth, so I'll play it for you right now.
Like I said earlier in camp, I think this is probably the deepest group we've had since 2017. So we got a lot of options. We can go a lot of different combinations. We added a lot of guys that have played a long time in this league, that have had success, and I think again it gives Tip more options and more possibilities to make our team more unpredictable.
Deepest team since 2017. I like that comparison. And I am excited to watch the Oilers tonight. Join the conversation anytime at World Hockey RPT, 12-Ounce Sports, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, wherever you are watching from. We're going to be joined by Cam Moon next after the break here. We'll break down the Oilers and Canucks. We got the full lineup for you. They even signed Colton Sevier. We got comments from him. That is all coming up next. Again, thanks to Annie O'Donnell for hopping on the show. Some great insight there. Some hot takes. Zegras to win the Calder. I don't know if I'm sold on that one, but time will tell. I've been wrong once or twice before. Already after the break, Oilers, Canucks. It's game day. The season starts tonight, T-minus 7 hours.
World Championships, every team in the NHL, as well as the KHL in Russia. And now, for the first time, they've been appointed official tour supplier to the Spengler Cup in Switzerland. As you all know, the Spengler Cup is the world's oldest invitational hockey tournament, set in the stunning mountains of Davos. It's also the best way to spend the time in between Christmas and New Year's. So, cheer on Team Canada in Davos this year with Sports Travel Tours exclusive packages. For information and to book, go to sportstraveltours.com. That's sportstraveltours.com and sign up to get exclusive discounts and trip priority.
Another week of the NFL season means another shot to win big at the DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. New customers can bet just $1 on any NFL game and win $100 in free bets if either team scores a point. The last 0-0 tie in the NFL was in 1943, so I would say this is a big no-brainer. If the Sportsbook isn't in your state yet, DraftKings won't leave you empty-handed. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes all season long with DraftKings Daily Fantasy Sports Contest. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN to throw down $1 on any NFL game and win $100 in free bets if either team scores a point. That's promo code THPN this week at the DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 years or older. New Jersey, Indiana, Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit. $1 wager required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
What we do here is go back.
World Hockey Report presented by Lord Co. Auto Parts. Find a store near you at lordco.com today. Cody Jansen coming to you live from the Pro Rock Broadcast Studios in beautiful Alberta. Follow me on Twitter at Janet31_ and the show at World Hockey RPT. Oilers, Canucks, they kick off their season tonight, so who better than play-by-play voice of the team on 6:30 CHED, Cam Moon, to join us and break it all down. Hey, we got a big one tonight, but there's also a depth signing that I think a lot of Oilers fans found interesting after the preseason. That's Colton Sevier, who brings a different dynamic to that fourth line. I know Ken Holland was talking yesterday about, hey, you need these 13th, 14th forwards to be successful because obviously injuries, COVID, you never know what could happen this season. What was your thoughts on Sevier in the preseason and what really earned him this contract?
Well, I saw a guy come in Colton Sevier and do very well what he does, and that is be defensively responsible, especially in his own end, to be on the right side of the puck, and to be good in penalty kill situations. Did he set up a really nice goal in the preseason for Brendan Perlini? Yeah, he absolutely did. So like he can make plays offensively for sure, but that's not what he's here for. So if he does, it's an absolute bonus. But he finished the preseason with 3 assists, which is great. But more importantly, he was another guy that you can count on in the penalty kill situation that's going to work hard, that's going to do things properly in his own end. And you talk about motivated. I mean, like no different than a year ago when Devin Shore came in on a PTO and earned himself a spot, earned himself the trust of the coaching staff. Colton Sevier's done the same thing. After playing in Pittsburgh last year, he was no contract and just looking for a job. Got an opportunity here in Edmonton, made the most of it, and got himself a contract, and now into the lineup on the opening night. So a guy that can fit in on the third or the fourth line and the penalty kill, I think it's a good move for the Oilers, and I know Colton Sevier is extremely happy about it.
So no Shore, no Cassian tonight, but I think the biggest interesting piece on that lineup's that top line. Is that Tippett's going to go with McDavid, Draisaitl, and Puljujarvi on the top line instead of splitting them, putting Draisaitl on the second line with Nuge and Yamamoto? Do you think that is due to their preseason play? Do you think he's just going to load them up at home, say, hey, it's the home opener, the fans are going to be buzzing in the building, let's just load them up and let the cannon fly?
Yeah, a little bit. I think that's part of it. And I think part of it is, I know the coaching staff would love to have the flexibility to either have Draisaitl and McDavid on the same line or on different lines. And when you bring in a guy like Zach Hyman, who is going to be on the line with Nugent Hopkins and Yamamoto tonight, it gives you that flexibility. It gives you a little bit more depth in that top six. And it might come down to a game-to-game matchup against which team you're playing, if you're at home or if you're on the road. If you're at home, you get last change. So you can dictate who's on the ice a lot easier than you can when you're on the road. But and these things, as you know, Cody, we saw it last year where this can get changed in the middle of the game if things aren't going well. So if the Oilers are struggling to create offensive opportunities, I wouldn't be surprised at all if Hyman and Draisaitl flip-flop lines, and then Leon goes to the middle and Nugent Hopkins over to the left wing, because we saw that quite a bit in the preseason too. But we did see the way it's looking tonight in the last couple of games, and it worked quite well for the Oilers. So, yeah, to me, it's going to be something that will be fluid throughout the season, given the team they're playing, whether they're home or on the road, and quite honestly, how it's going.
What did you like about Warren Foegele in the preseason? Obviously, he's a new addition, got traded for Bear. So what did you like about his game? I mean, obviously he slots in on that third line left wing. Seems like a perfect spot for him. Maybe he moves up if there is an injury to, maybe say Hyman or something like that. Maybe he does crack the top six. But what did you like about Foegele in the preseason?
Well, I saw a guy that would win puck battles in the offensive zone, which anybody would appreciate because he gained control of the puck, and I thought he did a good job of that. He also will go to the net. He'll drive to the net, goes to nasty areas on his body that has shown a lack of fear in that regard. I mean, it's not easy to do, and not everybody buys into that to be able to go to the net like that. But Warren Foegele, he does it, and he does it with some skill, and he does it with some physical prowess. These are good things, I think, especially for the Oilers to have a third line that Derek Ryan will center, who's great in the face-off circle and a very smart player. And, normally if Zack Kassian was healthy, he would be on that right wing. That gives the Oilers a third line that not only is going to be difficult to play against because Kassian and Foegele take the body the way they do, but a line that can generate things offensively because of the smarts of a Derek Ryan and the fact that, Kassian and Foegele will go to the front of the net and get there and be hard to move around, especially if the cross-checking calls are plentiful early in the season. So as we expect, I really like his fit. I think Warren Foegele brings something to the Oilers that they needed a little more of, and so far so good.
Can't move my guest here on World Hockey Report. It's Cody Jansen with you, coming live from the Pro Rock Broadcast Studios. Hey, Zack Kassian, you bring him up, and I don't have this in my notes, but I do want to ask you because obviously you've seen him at his peak, which I would say probably 2017 playoffs in Edmonton. And then you've also seen him at his worst, where I feel he struggled without fans last year. How big of a difference do you think it makes for a guy like that? Obviously, you see it from a different angle than anyone else. But do you think he's a completely different player when the energy's back in the building? Because I think that, and I think that this season he's going to bounce back.
Yeah, I think he'll bounce back too. I think he does feed off of that that vibe in the building, whether you're at home and everybody's cheering you on, or whether you're on the road and you're enemy number one, especially in a place like, say, Calgary. Some players absolutely love that environment when you're on the road and everybody's against you. And it seems to bring the best out in him. And unfortunately, Zack Kassian had some ups and downs with injuries last year. I don't think that helped him much. The empty building probably didn't help him much either. So I expect a bounce back season for him once he gets back in the lineup. Unfortunately, in the preseason where he got into that fight and went down hard on the ice, you never want to see that. And that was difficult actually, like just even to watch. So he did skate this morning. He won't be in the lineup tonight, but he did get out on the ice. So that's a positive sign. I don't know how quick he gets back, but hopefully sooner than later, because if he does have like a bounce back season, so to speak, I mean, to me, that just gives them so much on that third line with Warren Foegele and Derek Ryan. Last year, after the playoffs and the talk of lack of depth within the club that, made it tough for them to be a goal better than the Winnipeg Jets in that 4-game sweep and losing 3 in overtime, that you're going to need goals from other places. And if that line can chip in, awesome.
You hear everyone talk about depth, and I think that's really where Kassian's going to find his role this year. Look at Tampa, how big of a difference their third line made for them on their cup runs. I'm not saying the Oilers' third line's the exact same by any means, but instead of 2017 where Kassian's playing 22 minutes a night and playing with some of the best players, now if he's a third line player and if he can still bring that energy and effectiveness to your lineup, that's when I think you've got a game changer and you've got a team with depth that can make a run in the playoffs, my opinion. Mooner, you're a goalie guy. I know that for sure. Hey, can Mike Smith and Koskinen be the duo this season that takes him on a playoff run? Have they changed anything in their games? I don't think Smitty, you don't want to change too much from how he played last year, but Koskinen, have you seen him change anything? Has he worked on anything differently? Or is it just, hey, mental reset, last year's in the rear view mirror, we're back to normal NHL now?
Well, Mikko Koskinen talked about it in the preseason one day, about how big a difference it is from last year to this year for him because his family's here. He was here by himself last year, and when things didn't go right, he would go home and basically stew about it. And it didn't help him at all and didn't put him in a good place mentally. And I thought Koskinen played well in the middle part of the year. He had a tough start and he had a tough end. But in the middle, he found a groove there for a while. Having his family here, and it just seems to me like that's going to make a big difference. He played really well in the preseason, but so did Mike Smith in limited action. Smith didn't play as much as Koskinen. And quite honestly, Stuart Skinner, who's in the American League right now in Bakersfield, looked outstanding, and good for him, because to me, that guy has made a quantum leap from where he was a year ago to where he is now. Not in anything technically, in just the way he carried himself and the way he played. He looked far more confident and to me looked like an NHL goaltender. But going back to the tandem this year with Smith and Koskinen, Smith had a 923 save percentage last year. I mean, that's amazing. Do I think he's doing 923 again? Probably not. But you might shrink down a bit. And I think Mikko Koskinen on the other side had an 899. I don't think he'll be at 899 this year. I think he'll go up a bit. So I think the two of them will kind of meet in the middle and give the Oilers, then they need both of them. Make no mistake. They need both of these guys this year. I think both will be good. And if they're great, wonderful. But they both need to be good to give themselves and give the team a fighting chance every night. So do I think they can do it? For sure I do. Now we'll see if they do, but I think they will. I've got I love the fire in Mike Smith's game. I love the way he plays. Like he is playing to win every shot, practice, game, whatever. And to me, I find that inspirational watching this guy. And Mikko Koskinen, I want to see him have a much better year than last year, if for nothing else, for his mental makeup. I mean, that had to be tough last year, being here by yourself too. So it looks like he's got things going in the right direction. And if the preseason means anything, and I don't know that it does, but if it does, he'll definitely have a better year.
So you brought up Stuart Skinner. I think that's an interesting prospect. You would have seen him in the dub, eh?
Yes.
Do you, I mean, I know when he was in the Western League, obviously he won a championship in Swift. There was a lot of Darcy Kemper comparables. Do you think that's fair on your behalf? A guy Darcy Kemper didn't have a, great start to his NHL career. He bounced around. He struggled to find his fitting, but later on he was really able to capitalize. He turns it in, and now he's going to play for Colorado, who's one of the Cup favorites this year. Do you think those comparables are fair?
No, actually I don't. And this is why. Darcy Kemper, he had a slower start to his NHL career. He had a slower start to his WHL career. He was playing AAA U18 when he was 17 years old. Like, he played 2 years of that. He played 16 and 17. He didn't come to the Western League until he was 18. So he wasn't like a highly touted guy. He was a late WHL draft by Spokane, got dealt to Red Deer for not very much, and came in, and by the time he played as a 20, and by the time he was 20, he was lights out in the WHL. But it took a little while to get there. Whereas Stuart Skinner, this guy was one of the top goaltenders of his age group from the get-go, was a high pick in the WHL draft, played some games at 15, was a regular at 16, was in pro at 20. It's taken him a little while in pro to find his game, but that's a big jump too. And last year, having a great year in the American League, it has done wonders for him, whether it's the confidence or just getting more reps, whatever it is, it has really worked well for the guy. Because I see, like a year ago, I remember thinking, because of course I watched Stuart Skinner for 4 years in the WHL, and he's an Edmonton guy. So, a guy that I definitely kept my eye on. And I remember at the start of last year, I was thinking, wow, he looks like there's a gap between Smith, Koskinen, and then Skinner. To me, there was a gap there. And now this year, after watching camp in the preseason, the gap is absolutely shrunk to almost not much. So to me, he's on the cusp. He's like a year away. And if, knock on wood, there isn't any injuries, but if there are, a guy like Skinner can step in, he can play, and I'm sure it would be good for him. I know he got the one game last year, and they won 8-5 against Ottawa, and he got the win, but it didn't. It wasn't a goaltender battle by any stretch in that game.
Sometimes you need that as a young goaltender. You can't win them all 2-1.
That's right. Sometimes you need your team to just outscore the opposition, depending on how your game's going. They're so close now, and another year in the American League. And getting all that time like he did last year, and they win the California division, and I think that's really good for his development. To me, next year he's extremely close to being an NHL goalie.
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. Mooner, thank you for joining us on World Hockey Board. It's been 6 years of trying to track you down, but that's all right. Hey, enjoy the game tonight.
Okay, I promise I will.
Alrighty, that's Cam Moon right there, play-by-play voice of the Edmonton Oilers on 6:30 CHED. I did want to get to those Sevier comments, so I will hammer on those quickly. He gets 1-year deal in Edmonton, $750K. He talked about this for being back.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty exciting. Like, a lot of the PTOs, turn into nothing and that kind of thing. So to get it into a contract and be here for a home opener is awesome. It's really exciting.
What do you think that you did well and showed, and what do you think they need from you?
I think, I showed some versatility in my ability to play all 3-4 positions. I think, my ability to penalty kill is probably one of the number one assets I think I bring, and that's kind of what I wanted to show, and I think that's probably more than likely one of the bigger reasons. And then that's just I would like to show the rest of my game here going forward with some more opportunity.
Sevier breaks into the lineup. He'll be playing on that third line today. He's got Warren Fogle, Derek Ryan with them. Let me know your thoughts. You got a minute to get those predictions in. Join the conversation at 12 Ounce Sports, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Be sure to follow us at World Hockey RPT. Janner31_. That's where you'll find me. Tomorrow's show, it'll be a good one. We got some guests lined up for you, and there's going to be some TV talk. I think that's what I'm excited. You got TNT tonight, ESPN yesterday. So yes, we will hear from the one and only Steve Lansky. Jameson Olive as well. We'll talk Florida Panthers, Spencer Knight. That's coming up, and the open line. You already know what it is. Thursday, 12:40 Mountain Standard Time. You got the open line. Oilers, Canucks tonight. It'll be a thriller. It will. And everyone knows my favorite hockey tournament of the year that's still coming up, Spangler Cup, and the great people at Sports Travel Tours. They want you to experience it as well. Check out all the available packages at sportstraveltours.com. Huge thanks to everyone who puts on the show, the Hockey Podcast Network. That's where you can download it if you missed any of our conversation earlier from Zack Medeiros, Andy O'Donnell, or Cam Moon. All right, huge thanks to our lead producer, Bryce Buns of the show, Adam Urbantrout, who helps put it on, and Eric Krause, our social media manager. Until next week, everyone, be kind, be better.